Today, we're going to discuss residence permits that you can get very, very easily. And we will go through continent by continent and see what possibilities do you have there. Hey everyone, it's Irena here from Nomad Capitalist. I've been a part of Nomad Capitalist team for 3.5 years, and I've been helping our clients to go with their treated best. I know that we've been discussing, again, residencies for a while now, so I wanted to bring you a bit closer and maybe some of the possibilities on how you can get residency in the first place and what residency actually is. You know, there are some different terms when it comes to residencies, and, you know, we've been talking about, obviously, well, the name says it all, but the difference between temporary and permanent residency. The point is on how you can get one. You know, there are different categories of residencies. Like, for example, you know, the residency that you would get through family reunification, the residency that you would get through investment, then the residency that you would get with the proof of sufficient funds, and so on. So there are different categories of it. However, what residency, any residency actually is, the legal right to reside in a certain country that is obviously not your country of citizenship. So depending on the residency that you actually hold, you know, there are some different rights that you get. You know, you don't get the same rights as a temporary resident and as a permanent resident. But usually, in 60% of the cases, that can lead to citizenship, which is the highest level of rights that you can get in any country, really. We've been discussing on, again, the ways that you can become a resident in some countries, and there are some difficult ones. There are some expensive ones. There are some that process that takes 3 years or so, like Portugal got a visa, for example. So what I wanted to discuss with you today are some of the easy residency programs, some that in my experience was, you know, the easiest one to apply. From the operational point of view and from the documentation point of view, this is how I look at it. There may be some other things like, you know, the bureaucracy or anything else that makes it difficult, but for me, these were the easiest ones. So let's start with Latin America. My number one choice there would be Panama Friendly Nations visa. When it comes to Panama Friendly Nations visa, there is multiple ways on how you can get it. I find the most easy one with the option with either bank deposit or real estate purchase. You know, you do have an option to have a Panamanian corporation, you know, but in the long run, it's not an easiest one if we're looking at, you know, the paperwork and related to the companies, of course, and other things like corporate bank accounts and similar. But you know, if you have real estate, yeah, that as well has some maintenance in the long run. But I find it easier than the company, and you can receive some passive income from the real estate. So if we're looking at a real estate option, you can purchase a real estate worth of $200,000, and you can get residency in Panama. If we're looking at the bank deposit, we're looking at the same amount when you would have to deposit in the Panamanian bank. Panama residency is split into two categories. The first one is temporary, and another one is, or how we call it, provisional, and another one is permanent one. So all in all, it takes approximately 3 years to get the permanent residency. So you need to renew your temporary residency for a while, and then you can get the permanent residency. When it comes to citizenship, you can apply for citizenship after 5 years of residency in Panama. However, it's a bit difficult to apply. And, you know, that process is usually a bit longer. Again, for law, it says 5 years. In practice, it's a bit longer, and it can sometimes take even more than 10 years to get it. For that, you would also need to speak a Spanish language and to have a basic interview and obviously a test. My other option in Latin America is Ecuador. So with Ecuador, there are multiple ways as well to get your residency there, with real estate purchase, with bank deposit, with company formation, and so on. Again, I find the most easy one, the bank deposit one. The process is usually all the same. You know, you open the bank account, you deposit money, you submit the documents, you submit the proof, some of the documents from your country of origin, you submit the proof that you deposit the money into the bank, and that's pretty much it. So that's why I like it. If we're talking about Ecuador specifically, the money has to be in the bank account for at least 4 years before you can actually take it out. When it comes to the amount, you would need to deposit $45,000, and for each dependent, the amount goes a bit up, but there are some additional fees that you would need to pay. However, that's really low if you look at it. And again, after 4 years, you can get the money back, you can earn interest, but, you know, keep in mind that in Ecuador, those are very low. If we're talking about residency in Ecuador, you would get a temporary residency. You can have the possibility to obviously prolong it for the permanent one. However, with that, you would have to, there is a physical presence requirement. You have the right to choose. You can remain the temporary resident. However, keep in mind that that cannot lead you to citizenship at any point, or you can change it for the permanent one and then eventually get citizenship as well. So the process starts with a temporary residency that is good for 2 years, actually. Now, you have a right to remain the temporary resident of Ecuador. However, if that is the last stage that you want to get to, keep in mind that later you won't be able to apply for citizenship. There is another opportunity, of course, to exchange it for the permanent residency. If you want to do that, if you want to exchange your temporary residency for the permanent one, you won't be able to leave Ecuador for at least 90 days a year, and like that for 2 years or 3 years period. After the 3 years, you would get the permanent residency. After the permanent residency is granted, if your goal is obviously citizenship, then you would need to spend at least 185 days in Ecuador for at least 2 years. From the 3rd year and onward, you don't have to spend that much time in Ecuador. You can be outside of it. However, it's obviously recommended to visit Ecuador sometimes. And after 3 years of permanent residency, all in all, you can become a citizen of Ecuador. Moving on to the next country, which is Costa Rica, very famous expat country. Again, the easiest way of getting residency in Costa Rica, I find it with the bank deposit. With the bank deposit, you need to deposit $60,000 into the Costa Rican bank, which again is not very expensive. Obviously, if you have dependents, that amount can go up, but there are some side fees that you would need to pay as well. If you want to get citizenship is possible after 7 years. And for those 7 years, you would need to spend at least 183 days plus in Costa Rica. And you would need to learn Spanish and learn Costa Rican history. So these were the 3 countries in Latin America that I really find easy to get residence permit at. Now let's go on to Europe. Europe is obviously a bit limited because it's it's the European Union. However, I will mention some of the countries where I find it the easiest to get residency permit. The first one is Latvia. It's not very popular. And I wouldn't say that it's easy, but again, in Europe, compare it to Latin America, well, Europe is very difficult to get, but Latvia has a very good option, which you would also need to deposit money into the Latvian bank account. You have a possibility to get your golden visa in different ways as well, but if you want to apply it through the bank deposit, you would need to deposit 280,000 euros into the Latvian bank. There are additional fees that are a bit high for this. Like, for example, the fee that you would need to pay in addition to that would be 25,000 euros and so on. So all in all, it comes a bit more expensive. But again, it's the price that you're paid for potential European Union citizenship. With this, you get a temporary residency. So with this golden visa, you get a temporary residency that you can revert to permanent residency. And if eventually your goal is citizenship, you can get it after 10 years. Now, moving on to Spain. Spain is another country that also has a golden visa. And with Spain, it's a bit easier to apply, but it's more difficult to get citizenship. That's an issue. So when it comes to Spain, you can get it through making a bank deposit of 1 million euros. And there are some more cheaper routes, like, for example, if you want to purchase a real estate or if you want to incorporate a company and so on. So if we're talking about Spain, you can get citizenship after 10 years of having residency there. However, one important point is that if you are coming from a Latin country and you apply for Spanish golden visa, you get naturalized after only 2 years and not 10. So this option is very easy and very good if you're coming from Latin America countries because, it's not a hassle to get citizenship. The third country is the country in Europe, which you can immediately get citizenship of, and that is Turkey. Turkey is very easy to get citizenship and to actually apply for citizenship. So, of course, there are more options how you can get the Turkish citizenship. One of them is depositing, of course, the money, which is 500,000 euros. However, the most desirable option is, of course, real estate. You have to hold it for some time, but you can receive the passive income through really renting it out. Another bad thing about the bank deposit is that the bank deposit needs to be done in Turkish lira. As we all know, the Turkish lira has been a bit unstable, not a bit, but unstable in the previous couple of years. So that's why real estate may be the best option out there. So the citizenship is actually, again, something that you apply directly. So it takes approximately 6 months to get citizenship. You open the bank account, you make the investment through the Turkish bank account, you get the proof of investment, you apply for residency, you get your residency approved, you apply for citizenship, you get your citizenship approved, and that's it. In Turkish CBI, requests really not that much of a document, and it's the most easiest citizenship investment program ever, if you ask me. I will mention another option that is outside of the Europe, however, is again direct citizenship program, and that is Egypt. Egypt has a good option when it comes to bank deposit, and you will need to invest $500,000 into the Egyptian bank. So Egypt obviously has some other ways as well of how to be on the citizenship path. However, again, it's the direct citizenship path, and it's shown that it's easy to apply, and again, that they do not request a lot of documents. In Philippines, there is a famous SRRV program that is shown very easy to apply. It's quite similar to Thai Elite Visa, which has been canceled. However, with Philippines, there are a lot of different subcategories that you can, and you have to actually check for which you may be eligible for. The investment is approximately a maximum of $20,000, so it can be proved very good. And again, it's shown that it's very easy to apply. When it comes to citizenship, it's possible after 10 years. However, you have to live in the Philippines in the long run. The second country is Thailand. And again, Thai Elite Visa was one of the most easiest residencies process that you can get, but however, not the citizenship path. Thai investor visa has been proved very popular. And you can do it by making a deposit into a bank, by investing into real estate or into bonds, and you can combine that so that the end investment amount is $350,000. You can obviously invest in different areas. You can invest in real estate, you can invest in bonds, or you can make a deposit, or you can combine all of those investments as long as the investment amount is at least $300,000. Citizenship in Thailand is possible after 5 years. However, most of the time you would actually have to live there. Thailand, on another hand, have a very good taxation system. Yeah, there have been some changes. However, it's still very good because it has territorial tax system, so that, is still a good option for you. And the last one that we'll mention is Malaysian MM2H. Malaysian MM2H program has been gone a lot of changes, and they're still expected because it was shown that Malaysian MM2H program now is a bit expensive. However, this obviously requires you to make a certain bank deposit, to show the proof of funds, and to show the proof that you have liquid funds and so on. Apart from that, you would need to spend at least 90 days per year in a country in order to maintain it. It's very easy to apply, obviously, but the bad thing is that this option will lead you to citizenship eventually. However, again, it's shown that it's very popular and very easy to apply. So these were all of the residency permits that I find personally very easy to apply from the documentation point of view, from the application point of view, and so on. However, obviously there are some more. If you want to hear more about this, make sure to subscribe to our main channel so that you can hear all the news that are going on, and of course some other residency programs that may suit you. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them below, and thank you for watching.